Good morning, everyone. Today is September the 7th. It is Tuesday, 2021. Now, I want to read this article that I saw earlier. And I was kind of going through this article, and I thought this was a pretty interesting article for me to bring out this morning and talk about. And the title is The Explosive Growth of Homeschooling, Including Among Black Americans. As you guys may or may not know, I am a homeschool parent, homeschool father. Actually, my wife, she does most of the homeschooling with the kids. I'm usually at work. But you can see why this article was pretty intriguing to me. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. It says parents are taking their children's education into their own hands in record numbers after a disastrously tumultuous school year. I totally agree. I kind of figured that this was going to happen. But yeah, due to all of that pandemic stuff, we can kind of see how a lot of parents are homeschooling their children nowadays. But anyway, let's continue. The U.S. Census Bureau Experimental Household Pulse Survey, which is an online survey recording social and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, demonstrates a dramatic shift towards homeschooling within the past year and a half. The survey included roughly 22 to 23 million American households spanning from the spring of 2020 to the fall of 2021. During Phase 1, April 23rd to May 5th, 2020, of the survey, about 5.4 households with school-aged children said they were homeschooling. By the fall, September 30th to October 12th, 2020, 11.1% of households with school-aged children reported homeschooling. The number increased to a staggering 19.5% by May of 2021. Fall 2021 statistics on homeschooling have not yet been published. So let's just kind of recap that last paragraph. So around April 23rd to May 5th of 2020, only about 5.4 households with school-aged children say that they were homeschooling. So I'm actually included in that number. So there was only just about 5.4 children or households that were homeschooling. But let's look at this. About a year later, actually this year, around May of 2021 of this year, 19.5% of people have been homeschooling their children. That is about quadrupled in number. That is staggering. And I think it's a good thing, actually. I think more people should be homeschooling their children. But I think that this whole pandemic thing has kind of been somewhat of a gift and a curse. But let's continue. This embrace of homeschool education is diverse. The survey respondents indicated that homeschooling in black households increased from 3.3% in the spring of 2020 to 16.1% in the fall of 2020. So again, within black households alone, the number has almost quadrupled again. And, of course, I was already a part of the 3.3%. But yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of black people who are homeschooling their children now. And I mean, there's just so many people who have just decided to take their kids' education into their own hands. And I think that this whole pandemic thing with the lockdowns and kids doing virtual and all of that stuff, I think that this has really pushed a lot of people to do this, to really take their child's education into their own hands. But we're going to continue to read this article. The possible reasons for such a monumental and unprecedented switch to homeschooling are numerous and include pandemic shutdowns, just like I just said, strict masking, and critical race theory. Now, the whole masking thing, I'm not too sure about people homeschooling because of the strict mask mandates. Maybe that's happening, but I haven't really heard anyone using that as an excuse to homeschool their children. But the critical race theory thing, I have heard, and this is what a lot of the mainstream media isn't covering, is that a lot of people are homeschooling their children due to a lot of the critical race theory stuff that's being taught in schools. You know, kids are going to school, and we're talking about black people. I'm not talking about just white people. I'm talking about black people that I've actually talked to, and they're just like, they go to school, they're learning this critical race theory stuff, and they're coming back home, and their children are asking them all of these questions. Mom, I have a white friend. I mean, the teacher was saying that this is what white people did. Now, how am I supposed to work this out? You know, I got a white friend over here. Or I'm interested in this white person to, you know, I guess, you know, if a boy likes a girl or whatever. Now, people are just like, well, what's going on? You know, some of these kids are biracial. They have a black mother and a white father and vice versa. And they're coming home with all of these different ideologies, and they don't know how to deal with that. So a lot of people have been pulling their kids out of school, or not sending their kids back to school after this whole pandemic thing. Now that the schools are opening up, they're just staying home and taking care of their kids. And a lot of it is due to critical race theory being taught in schools, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, especially the mainstream media. You know, they want to have you think that it's white people who are upset with this. No, there's a lot of black people who don't agree with this as well being taught in schools. Let's continue. The profound failure of school shutdowns during the pandemic was evidenced by the drop-off in student test scores in reading and math and soaring rates of students attempting suicide. That's another thing. Now, you remember before this whole pandemic thing jumped off, one of the biggest topics was about the increase of children attempting suicide. School children. We're talking about 8 and 9-year-old kids attempting suicide because of bullying. Remember, that was a big thing that was in the news. Bullying. They was trying to change the laws on that. You know, kids trying to find ways to fit in with their peers and things of that nature. So, and now with these test scores that I have been dropping, and just about everybody that I know who had kids in public school, they saw their children's grades begin to slip and their test scores begin to plummet by doing this whole virtual thing. And that has led to a lot of, you know, people to homeschool their own children. But let's continue. Unscientific mask mandates for school-age children also receive outcry from concerned parents. Even though many young students have reported headaches, dizziness, and brain fog from masking for 8 hours or more school days, some school boards and states will still require them. From Broward County, and that's where I'm from, that's Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, to Loudoun County, I actually don't know where that is. Parents have protested nationwide against mask mandates. So basically, these kids that are going back to school, they have to wear these masks. And myself, when I put one on, I don't like wearing them because it kind of restricts my breathing. So I can only imagine with them making these kids wear this 8 hours a day. And a lot of these children can't operate with this because you're constantly restricting their airflow. But anyway, the immense national backlash to critical race theories in schools may have also catalyzed the turn towards homeschooling. Like I just mentioned earlier, parents across the country have protested against CRT at school board meetings, claiming the instructional tool promotes racism and hatred. Some states, including Oklahoma, Idaho, and Florida, have even banned CRT from schools. And I was just talking about that earlier. Dr. Anika Prather, a professional of classics at Howard University and founder of the Living Water School, is an advocate for diverse classical education and a supporter of school choice. I totally agree with school choice. I believe that a parent should be able to send their children to whatever school that they want to send them to, instead of forcing them to be in a certain district where it may be a failing school, and that parent who just happened to live in that district has to send their kids to that failing school because they just live in that certain area. And I don't think that that's right. Prather told the American Spectator that personalization is a benefit of homeschooling as parents maintain direct agency over their children's education. Dr. Prather elaborated, quote, in the family that chooses to give their children more freedom in how they're educated, that parent is now free to protect and advocate for their child's freedom to learn. If the family is Christian, the parent has freedom to disciple that child in the faith. If that family is Afrocentric, that family has the freedom to make all of their lessons geared to the child learning their African heritage, end quote. And that is the end of this particular article. And I totally agree, especially with that last statement. You know, you have a lot of people, including myself and my wife, who like to incorporate biblical teachings in our children's education. You know, we also like to incorporate history. You know, some of it is Afrocentric. We do teach a lot of we do teach some Afrocentrality, if you would, you know, in with their curriculum, because we do want them to know all aspects of history to get a total understanding of how things were in America, to get the real truth, to read the writings of people like W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass and just Nat Turner and people, just all of these types of different people who did contribute to the building of this country, you know, in America. And we talked to them about slavery and how it affected us even today, you know, why there are some things that are happening today with, you know, what slavery which has been affected everyone basically from the sin of slavery, right? So therefore, when we do decide that we don't want to teach critical race theory, and then when we have to explain to them what critical race theory is, we want to give them the truth and say that this is why we're against critical race theory. Because here are all of the contributions that black people have made in this country. And we can't ignore that because of some of the past that a lot of people want to try to bring up and put to the forefront and try to make it seem like that America has been just systemically racist and black people don't have a chance to do anything. So this is why I think that homeschooling is very important for the modern American. Now, I understand that everyone can't send their children. They have to send their children to school. Sorry, I had a little bug biting me, mosquito. It's that season. But anyway, but I understand that a lot of people cannot have, or they can't afford to be full-time homeschool parents. But I do think that if you can do it, you should definitely consider it, because you do get to you get to monitor exactly how your children are learning and what they're learning and things along that, and things, you know, along the lines of that. And I mean, I've just seen, just me personally, I've seen just an increase in my children's ability to learn and comprehend and to problem solve and all of those types of things. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. You know, do you believe that homeschooling is something that maybe we shouldn't be getting into, that we should only trust the government when it comes to our children's education? We should be focusing on building up the schools in our area so our children can have a better education? Or do you actually believe that, no, homeschooling is the way to go? If we're really going to be serious about our children's education, and especially in this time, in this day and age, then homeschooling is something that we should highly consider, especially those who are Christian. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, guys. So therefore, whenever I do get ready to go live, you guys will be the first to get a notification to let you know that I'm live. And you'll be the first ones to see my videos as soon as I upload them, because you'll get a notification saying that I just posted a new video. But, you know, like I said, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. And as always, you guys have a blessed day and enjoy your morning.